Brothers, people, everybody's cheering and laughing and making a song. But what are you gonna do when you're playing with my dong? Chicka, 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 check it out. Yeah, 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 yeah. I said, chicka, 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 check it out. Oh, yeah. What's going on, guys? Can I adjust this? Can I adjust this screen here? Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's adjust this freaking screen. Let's do that. You know what? Wait, let's grab the tobacco. The wacky tobacco. Let's grab the wacky tobacco. We got beer on deck. We had a good freaking long day's work of some landscaping. Wearing a different shirt, but I haven't specifically taken a shower because I don't want it. I don't want it. The day's still ripe, hot, and juicy. So let's get out and get a little loosey. Collars up. Bring it back. Ooh, collars up. What's going on? Shorty thing. Shorty thing. So right here we got some freaking American Spirit Black. I'm back on the black because it isn't whack. But I was smoking the turquoise, more organic kind, which apparently, allegedly, has no chemicals. Compared to this, it has 40. A pack of marbles apparently has like 40. I read a book that said smoke no evil. I had an insight, too, about smoking tobacco, and I'm like, yeah. It's like somebody compares cake. They're like, they're both bad. There's no nuance in what they're saying, right? They're both bad. You can have one cake made out of, like a carrot cake, right? I love carrot cake. You can have one cake made out of all organic, raw, great materials. Organic carrots, no bioengineered food ingredients. Then you can have another one that is just processed bullshit. You know the like the little gas station carrot cakes? You're like, and just start eating them. You go, really good. But that has a whole plethora of freaking ingredients. I always look at the ingredients. It's like it has plethora and bioengineered. Which cake do you think is going to be worse for you? I would like to think it's going to be the gas station cake or the super processed heavy and all this made up crap names ingredients. Okay, there was a time in history we didn't have all that stuff and you could still make a freaking cake. You just make it from natural foods. You mix up the whipping from whatever the fuck they mix it with. I don't fucking know. But it's different. So it's the same for this shit. In my mind, it just makes sense logically. If you don't see that, I don't know. It's like those same people. I saw a great quote. It said, just because somebody's getting older doesn't mean they're becoming wiser. Sometimes people become older and dumber. And this guy was trying to compare grapes and fruit to like Hershey's chocolate. He's like, well, it has sugar in it. So technically, this has this much sugar and blah, blah, blah. And even the guy interviewing is like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, because a grape, watermelon, it has sugar, but it's not processed sugar. I don't like it when people say that sugar is the same. It's not the same. It's all about how you make it, where it's coming from, how real and organic it is. It's not the same. You're having a grape that's packed with nutrition. It's more or less natural food. And it has fiber that lets you shit. You eat enough cantaloupe, you're going to take a big old dookie. Because it's getting all that shit out. It's flowing it out. And it makes it poop. And then your body's absorbing all this freaking nutrients as well. A Hershey's chocolate bar. I mean, you can get dark chocolate if you get like some organic raw dark chocolate. Yeah, it tastes horrible. But that's definitely, there's some nutrient in that. But it's not the same. There's nuance to these things. There's more complexities if we go deep down in the surface, in the caverns, and the taverns of life. So needless to say, I'm only saying all this because I'm talking about this freaking tobacco. The wacky tobacco. The thing with tobacco, though, you gotta freaking enjoy it. You gotta be smoking this like you're smoking a cigar and you're enjoying the taste. You're allowing it to hit the back of your throat like, damn, that's good. That's good stuff. I had a friend one time, he's like, you know you can smoke tobacco if you're doing cardio. Makes sense to me. You're counteracting this stuff more. You're sweating. Your lungs are breathing in and out of oxygen. Your heart's racing, blood flowing. It's going to move this stuff out. A lot of people that smoke tobacco, they just sit around. They're not active. Now, can it have an effect on you? Maybe. Maybe. I don't fucking know. A lot of people like to think they know. I don't know. But I like to think that doing those things can actually help, like, counteract a lot of that stuff. I knew a dude who would drink beer every day. Dude was chiseled. He looked like a Greek god. He was chiseled. And you got people that get all these bellies. And the reason for that is because they're not working out. They're not. They're probably not working out intensely. I've heard people be like, oh, well, I would work out and, I would, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm just like, I don't think you work out intensely. I don't think you are sweating beads of sweat going down your body. You work out like, what's the word, melancholy. You can still make gains and work out melancholy, like slow paced, but there's no stamina. There's no cardio really going on. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's roll this bad boy up and talk about the day. I don't have anything really deep to talk about. It doesn't need to be deep. Maybe all this is deep, But at the end of the day, let's roll this up. Bam. Shablam. I like raw papers. I tried organic raw papers one time for my tobacco, and honestly, I did not like the taste. I thought the taste was disgusting. It was bitter. It was making me a little stipper, dipper, flipper, and the hipper. You know what I'm saying? Another thing, brother man, if you're so worried about looking like a goof, you're so worried about the eyes of your parents, the eyes of society around you. Obviously, I think there has to be a balance for certain relationships, work relationships, all this type of stuff. But suffocating yourself so much because you want some sort of appeasement from people around you and your parents, you ain't going to be living, brother. Trust that. You're not going to be living. But I do think that there is a balance with that as well. I'm not saying just go total psycho. But sometimes I think it's okay to be looked at as kind of a psychopath. Is that the right word? Crazy. Maybe have a little bit of narcissism. A little bit of, dare I say, arrogance. And people will come in all day, well, we'll see if you can back that up. I'm not going around acting like I'm the best fighter in the world. I'm not going around acting like I'm this rich man. But your confidence in yourself and believing in yourself and believing that you can achieve and do things. Like, I have a confidence that if I went and learned MMA, I'd be really good at it. I believe that I will. And believing is part of the freaking battle. Because, yeah, you might get, some people like the word humbled. But if you're okay with it's not that you're okay with losing, but you can recognize that you can lose. That, to me, that's a realistic mindset, but you have the delusion enough to go in there and be like, you know what, I'm going to be the best. I can be the best. I can be the best. But you're not so delusional where you're like, somebody beats you. Maybe you should be. Maybe you should just be really upset when somebody beats you. So that way you train harder and get better instead of being like, oh, I know what happens. Oh, yeah. Maybe you should be upset. Maybe you should be upset, and that might fuel you to be better because you believe that you can be the best. Muhammad Ali, he believed and talked that he was the best all day, and he was the best. I think he only lost like a couple of times. Mike Tyson, he believed himself so hard. Dude, he was the freaking best. Nobody could touch his level of pedigree. And he had the skills to back it up as well. But I'm not going to go in an MMA gym and be like, I'm the best. But I don't have any MMA experience. That's silly. But in my head, I'm going to believe, yeah, you know what? I can learn and I can become one of the greats. If I wanted to take that life path, which I don't think I would. But I think it is good to learn some MMA. I think that sometimes we think so much. We have the story in our head. I think that the story is there and it's good to have. But sometimes we get so caught up in the story that we feel like we should just be so much more. We should be something so grandiose. Maybe the thing you got to deal with is right in front of you. Maybe it's just your kids. Maybe you don't need to go on some grand journey and become enlightened. You leave your family behind. You leave everybody behind. I was thinking about the Buddha earlier. And I don't think the Buddha is like a bad guy or whatever, right? But this dude left his family, everybody that loved him. And hey, he had to go out and do his thing, right? But he left the people that he could really, that were in his life to help. And he did help a lot of people. You know what I mean? But I was like, damn, the Buddha is an idiot. No offense. But then again, he's not, right? And then I was talking to somebody, he's like, yeah, but he enlightened so many people. And I'm like, what does that even mean? What does it even mean to be enlightened? Maybe he got them he enlightened him on certain things, and maybe they have more of an enjoyment of life now because of the Buddha. So I can't fully shit on the Buddha. So I kind of retract my statement. But maybe some of these things are right in front of you. And sometimes you just got to take care of business instead of trying to party all the time. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having a good party, having a good time. I just got done working today. I was doing I already said this, I was digging holes and putting in cement. I was working for like 9 hours. And I remember actually I woke up this morning because I started watching Troy last night. You know the movie Troy with Brad Pittis? Just keeps going out. Come on, buddy. Come on, pal bud. Just keeps going out. I started watching Troy, and I really like the Achilles character. I also really like Hector. Both awesome freaking characters. But I lost my phone last night at the bar. And obviously I got it back now. But I couldn't text him. I didn't have an alarm. And all I remember him saying is he'll come through. He'll come through at 8 or 9. Right? And I'm watching Troy in the morning. And I really like taking some of that Achilles mindset of like honor and all that. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, all right, you know what? I can't get a hold of him. And I told him that I would help work with him today. And I don't want to like go back on my word with that. So I go outside and I just sit out there for I sat out there for an hour. No phone, nothing. Just out there. And something in me is like, man, like maybe I can message him on Facebook if I get to the library. Because this bar doesn't open till 5. I'm like, maybe I could just do that, right? And then, yeah, lo and behold, at like 9:30, he pops up. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry, I lost my phone. He's like, that makes sense. I was trying to get a hold of you. And I'm like, yeah, But then I go out there and I help him dig some freaking holes. And you know what? It was good. It was good. It was good. It's some good hard labor. Now, do I want to do that all the time? No. I like my job where I'm at right now, right? But it was good hard labor. And it was nice because we're just out there, just two guys working together, making out with each other, playing with each other's asses. We even forgot to dig. It was so hot. We were like, man. But all seriousness though, we just fucking digging holes. He had to measure all this stuff because he's building a house. So I'm like, okay, we're like measuring things and all this type of stuff. And I felt so freaking lethargic. Until the end, I started doing body weight squats and it woke me the fuck up. I was like, whoa! And I felt like, I was just watching Elisha Long too, and now he's talking about, which is so funny how God could work in that way, because I'm talking about, this has happened twice with me and Elisha, right? Where I remember having this situation in my life and I kept constantly thinking about Spider-Man Tobey Maguire. And then he uploads a video within that week talking about Spider-Man 1, Tobey Maguire. I was like, what the fuck? And then yesterday I'm having a conversation with my friend's mom, and my friend is having like a psychosis, and she's really worried because he smokes a bunch of pot and all this type of stuff, and they found him in the store, just lying on the ground, like talking to himself and whatnot. I'm like, fuck, and she's calling me, and she's really sad, and I brought up the movie Obsession, which was funny because this was yesterday, and then Elisha just uploaded a video today, and he's talking about the movie Obsession. I'm like, what the fuck, brother? But it's like, it's in tuned more with like things when my heart is open, like my actual heart, not this like delusional fantasy. But it's not, some of it's not really delusional. You know, it's like God perhaps is showing me my life and the things that I can achieve and do. You know, it's funny too because a lot of it isn't like, Evan, you can fly, but maybe you have the potential to learn how to fly. But it's not, it's like grandiose, but it's not like overly like, everybody loves me and I'm the man. You know, it's just like, hey, you remember this person? You remember this? You remember, wow, isn't it weird that all this is syncing up and all this stuff? So it's all kind of aligned. I know Elisha, I don't think he's Christian, but definitely talks about Jesus a lot. But, you know, I'm talking to her about Obsession, and I feel like there's a scene in Obsession. It's a good movie if you haven't seen it, where I'll spoil it a little bit, but not too much. It's not really a spoil. He said the same thing in his video, but it's not really a spoil because you can get a gist for the plot from the trailer. So basically this guy, this loser, freaking weak-ass energy, loser-ass dude, it's hilarious. I'm not trying to copy Elisha here, but it's fucking true, though. I literally was thinking it, too, in the movie, and I'm like, man, I don't like this fucking dude. This dude sucks. So he really likes this girl. She even gives him a moment in the beginning to, like, be like, do you like me? And he's like, oh, no, we're just friends, you know, you know? And instead what he does, and he doesn't know, but he gets this thing, it's like this wish thing, and you break it and you make a wish. So then he wishes that this girl was obsessed with him. And then all of a sudden, she's walking away from the car, he does it, and then she comes back, she's like, hey, actually, do you want to come inside? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, what? And then, like, she even snaps out of it for a second. She's like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck? And then she's like, no, hey, you want to come inside? Blah, blah, blah. And so basically, she's possessed. But her inner self is in there, and there's a scene in the movie where she is in a bed, like asleep, but then the real her like comes out, and he's talking to her, this loser ass dude, and she's like, please kill me, and he's like, is it really that bad, you being with me? Like this is like halfway through the movie when he's already become aware that something that has happened. I like how they do this movie too, because it does. They're not like, oh, it worked. You know, he's actually genuinely confused why the fuck she was acting like this. But then later on, he started to realize, like, holy shit, that wish they worked. And he was like, is it really that bad being with me? And then she says in her, like, REM sleep, she's like, I've never been with you. Even though they've been, like, fucking and all this stuff, and they've like, been together, the real her has never been with her. So I was saying this to my friend's mom, and I'm like, I felt like it was like that. Like, the real inner him is in there. You know, and like it still comes out, obviously. It's not like he's on that level, you know what I'm saying? But like this real inner him wants to come out, but it's snuffed by all these things. This is why I needed to stop smoking pot, because I just felt like, I remember I even had this conversation with my dad, and we're talking about the difference between drinking and smoking. I would much rather be drinking. But even with the drinking, right, I feel like that's why it's so freaking important to work out, have a sense of oomph, go for a run. Lift weights. I'm going to go back to the gym because I've been doing a lot of calisthenics, but it just doesn't give me enough of that oomph kind of sense of satisfaction where I'm like really here. Like the working out, I have to do like 300, 500 push-ups. I got to do all this stuff, and it still helps. And I go for running and stuff, but it doesn't feel like this like strong sense of like oomph. And then when I have drinks, it's like that, you know. And I can feel that too. It's like you can get possessed by your parents. You can let their stuff come in way too much, where now you are being, like, your parents might have some sort of, like, they feel your energy, and then they have this weird, like, demon spirit, where they're, like know-it-alls, and they get into your head, and they talk to you a certain type of fucking way. Seriously. That's crazy. Because I think a loving parent they won't try to be, like, condescendingly talk to you. They'll actually talk to you from a place of worry instead of, like, trying to sound like a cool know-it-all who's like, oh, you just don't understand. You don't understand, like, they try to get into your head type shit, you know. But with drinking though, it's like I feel like I'm more in the driver's seat than when I was smoking. I did feel. I remember when I was getting high all the time, and again, it's like I feel like it feels better when I'm like lifting weights and I'm doing all this type of stuff. But it feels like, see, I can actually feel it now. Like right when I brought him up, I'm like, feel this heavy energy hit me, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Ew, get the fuck off me, because it's not a good one. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel good. It feels like this sense of like controlling, kind of like totalitarian, like controlling, tyrannical kind of feeling a little bit, where it's like, you know, like looking at you. It's fucking weird. But when I do that and then I drink, I feel like I'm still like more here, you know. But with the weed, it felt like, you know, I remember when I was like kind of just like on the street, and my drug was the weed. You know, I was freaking getting high all the time, all that type of stuff. And I remember talking to these guys. I was like, it feels almost like my inner child, my inner me, is like in there screaming out and saying, no, 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 please stop. Please stop. Like my soul is like screaming at me, like stop. But then I smoke, and then I'm like, yeah, especially when I started having spliffs, which is with like the weed and tobacco. Because these are spirits we are putting into ourselves. They are spirits. And then you could be influenced by other spirits and other energies. That's why I think it's really good to have a kind of good sense of control, you know, and you got to be in control when it's happening, because you can actually kind of feel it. I feel like this heaviness on the side of my face, which is weird because it shouldn't be there. How is it that I feel that? But I think I'd learned some stuff when I was doing shrooms and stuff, because I don't think shrooms necessarily are bad. I think shrooms, if used right and in small doses, can actually be quite well for you. But I think it has to be, you need to like kind of put away the phone. It just kind of like, you might have things that just kind of pop up and you're like, oh wait, that makes more sense. Oh yeah, no wonder I've been acting like this. Oh yeah, I have been feeling this way because of that. Oh yeah, you know, shit just kind of like tick, 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 tick. But if you're using it for like some sort of transcending, awakening experience, I do not believe that that is the way to go. I don't think that trying to transcend reality is the way to go, because you're in reality. So it doesn't make any sense for you to try to transcend reality. What are you going to become, like some etherical orb? You know, this is the stuff I used to like try to do. But even then, I realized that some of it just didn't seem right. Just didn't make any fucking sense, right? But it's a good movie, though. I think it's okay to care, obviously, for your parents and the people you love. But when it's like the most of the people in my family that I care about and I love, it doesn't feel like this overwhelming, like, oh man, I gotta listen to them because obviously they're so right and stuff. But I do have people in my life that think that they are right, and it could come from a place of caring, but also this place of weird, like, sense of control. But you know, not all of it's bad, you know. But at the same time, it's like you got prisoners on your mind, and they try to, you know. And I'm not saying that you need to be like so free, you know, you just cut off everybody out of your life type shit. I don't think you need to do that. I don't think that's necessary. But I think that, you know, the way you talk and the way you speak. So I love talking to my uncle, because my uncle isn't over here criticizing me about how I sound or how goofy I might come off. But I still have a level of groundedness too when I'm talking. You know, it's almost like this place of like, he might be judging, but he's not like overly like critical and about me. You know, unless I'm really like fucking up my life, he probably might have something to say to it. But even my mother, but it's not like this weird like kind of like know-it-allism. He just sensing something's off, you know. But yeah, you don't want to get too caught up in your freaking head, because if you're too caught up in your head, You're thinking too much. You're just talking to demons after a certain point. You might be talking to God sometimes. But if you're so anally retentive about how your life needs to be, if you're not feeling good personally, then maybe there's something there you got to fix. But you're so anally retentive, like you got to be this person, this grandiose person, all this type of stuff. I think there is some truth to it. But at the same time, like for me, dude, I got a place. I got good friends. I'm making money. I'm not making a shit ton of money. I have people, they tell me, hey, you should do this, or maybe you should get into this job, or you should do that. I don't care. I don't care. Because there was a time in my life when I was fucking homeless. And now I can actually appreciate these things that I have more. I care more about my structure. And if I get to a point where I'm like, you know what, it would probably be better for me to maybe try to make more money. Like if I had kids, right? That would be something where I would be, through my conviction, be like, oh, you know what? It's probably smart that I find something that allows me to make more money. So that way we don't have to struggle. But after this job, though, I felt very lighthearted. Because, like, I'm out in nature. We didn't have music until, like, a quarter half, like halfway through the job. We put some music on, and now I'm vibing. I'm like, hey, okay. But I did notice a part of myself was restricting myself because, you know, this isn't really like this is more like a buddy, I guess. It's weird. They helped me out at a time. Like, they're a much older couple, but I'm just working with the husband. He's, like, in his 50s. You know, I don't really know the guy. I know he does musician. He's a musician. He does music. But, you know, I don't want to come off like some crazy, wild-ass dude. You know, and obviously there's a level of respect that I have just in general in life. Sometimes it might not seem that way to other people. But, you know, but I did feel like this sense of me just being like kind of like trapped. Like I was like kind of watching my movements. I don't want to come off too aggressive and all this type of stuff. Even though I know I'm not doing anything wrong. You can come off aggressive, but also, I don't like people use the word aggressive. You can come off with a lot of oomph. But it doesn't mean that you are, like, going to try to fight somebody or beat somebody up. You might be capable of doing that, but you're not, like, trying to come off like you're some macho man. You just so happen to come off like you're a macho man sometimes when you have oomph. When you have a lot of oomph, then you might come off like that guy. You know, and I see this with women too. But then they're usually the most coolest, kindest people ever. And they're not over here trying to like get in a fight with you, trying to size you up and all this dumb bullshit. I know people like that have seen me just like fucking feeling good and like feeling awesome and just fucking living my life. And then they get insecure as fuck. And then they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck does this guy think he is? Fucking thinks he's hot shot. But I'm over here just enjoying my life and just having a lot of oomph and just conversating. Sometimes I'll be in the bar. Who wants to arm wrestle? You know, and then I'll arm wrestle some people. I arm wrestled a guy last night. Surprise, he beat me. I didn't like lose and be like, fuck you, man, you fucking suck. You know, I was just like, damn, okay, fuck. Damn, that was impressive. And he does martial arts and shit too. And I was like, that was impressive. Most people can't beat me. That I bump into in life. They can't, you know. But obviously there's people out there that can. You know, I'm not dumb off that fact. But, you can let these freaking voices get in your head and start feeling bad. You start going in on yourself. You start feeling all down. That's not the way, brother. Like, these people around you are not God. They don't know everything. Even your own parents. You know, they're not God. They don't know everything. They don't know what's right for you. They could see that maybe there's certain choices in your life that maybe if you stop doing those choices, it might make you have a better experience of life. But at the same time, you know, that's... Again, I feel like it has to come from within. Do you want to change? Do you really want? Do you have conversations with yourself where you're like, oh, this is leading me down like the path that I don't want to go down? If you're having those conversations with yourself, then that to me is something where you should take heedance to, but not because somebody is telling you that you should or trying to shame you.